Welcome to the Andy Staples Show. It is a national championship preview edition. We are at the mercy of Liv Wasserman, though. Let's explain this. Ari, you're here, but at any moment, a crying baby could disrupt the show, end the show. Nay, in the show.
I'm struggling a little bit, Andy, because I don't know if people care a lot about what's going on in my life right now, but my mother-in-law got COVID, and she was in our house and exposed the baby to COVID. And then now my fiance is on her deathbed because she's just in really bad shape, and the baby has a ton of congestion. So I had to go to the doctor's office, and this is her first cold, and we don't know if it's COVID or not. But I had my parents flying in to watch the baby while we went to California, so the trip got canceled. My parents came, then they found out that the baby might be the one that's giving COVID, so they had to leave my house. So it's just like me in a guest room looking at a baby monitor, praying to God that we can get through this 35 or 45 minutes without her waking up, while also terrified of the first cold also being COVID. Because like I don't know how you were with your first cold with your baby. But like I'm doing the Frida thing, where you suck the snot out of the nose, and I'm doing all that sort of stuff.
Much luckier, simpler, more innocent times. There was no pandemic, so it was like it's a cold. We're good. But yeah, I appreciate you joining us, Ari, under these circumstances. And again, and this is we've obviously, in all seriousness, Ari and I have gone back and forth all day about this today. If he's got to go, he's got to go, and we'll figure this out.
I think we got a good window here, and I just want you to know that you're my family too, Andy. So I was going to make. Oh
wow, I appreciate that. Liv has the best birthday in the world, so
yes, she does.
All right, we are going to preview this championship game. This is the Stars Matter Bowl. This is the game you've been waiting for, Ari. The two top-ranked teams in the 24/7 Sports talent composite, the most talented teams in the country. Proof positive that stars matter, because these two teams are playing for the national title. But we're also going to go through our prop bets for the game, because they don't really release prop bet sheets for the college football national title game. They do it for the Super Bowl. But we've got some based on years of watching college football telecasts, and our colleagues have chimed in, and we have some incredible props that hopefully some casino will pick up, some offshore sports book will pick up.
You'll get an email and actually take action tomorrow saying who's going to be the head coach at Alabama in 13 years, and it'll be a bunch of names that don't make sense, and we can take a screenshot of it and put it on Twitter and make people think they're real bets.
All right, before we get to the props, let's talk about the game itself. They've played this game. These two teams played each other about a month ago. Georgia was favored. Alabama kicked the crap out of Georgia. We've gone over and over what happened there. Ari and I both picked Georgia to win. We both swore after the game we will never, ever pick against Nick Saban again. And I intend to honor that pledge. I don't know how you feel about that, Ari, but I intend to honor it.
I'm waffling.
Uh-oh. Vegas installs Georgia as a favorite on New Year's Eve, and all of a sudden you're just going back on your word.
It's a new year, new me. I don't know. I don't know that I feel great about Alabama winning the game. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, that most of the action is going towards Alabama because people are sane and the line's not moving at all. So I am very curious because I covered the Alabama-Cincinnati game, Andy, and I know that they sucked the soul out of Cincinnati and it was never really a contest. But I just don't think this is one of the better versions of Alabama that Saban has had. They're a really good football team, obviously.
Except for that game against Georgia and the game against Ole Miss, where they were nearly perfect.
I don't know if this team can do it twice. I'm not going to pick. Here's the thing. I am going to pick Georgia. Okay, I'm going to do it right now on this podcast, 5 minutes in. You want to know why?
Welcher.
You want to know why? Because both of us got made fun of incessantly at the beginning of the year before the game started for picking Georgia to win the national championship, and everybody making the 1980 jokes and laughing.
I actually picked this very scenario. I said
I'm not going to back out
to
now.
Alabama in the in the SEC title game and beats them in the national title game, but I'm not picking against Nick Saban now. I am going back on my preseason pick.
I would rather lose being wrong with a preseason projection than waffling and then being wrong after waffling. Like I think I'd rather be wrong on being one game short of what I thought would happen than just pick from scratch like everybody else right now. So I'm going to just stick with my preseason prediction. I think Georgia, it's a really hard thing because Georgia did to Michigan what they did to most of the teams on their schedule this year. And like I said, after the game was over, I think that Michigan is far more similar to a middle tier SEC team than they are to Alabama. So I don't want to overreact. And
did you just call Michigan Kentucky?
I think Michigan is closer to Kentucky than they are to Bama.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you after seeing what I saw in the Orange Bowl, but here's my thing. And again, I said it, I swore it on this podcast. We're idiots running across the bottom of the screen because we are. I'm not picking against Nick Saban. So just call me Mr. Scattered, Covered, Smothered, and Chunked, and Topped because I am Waffle House right now. I am waffling on my preseason pick. I am picking Alabama to win.
But wouldn't it feel so much better to nail your preseason pick in the perfect scenario? Like, just go down with the shit.
I'm tired of everybody laughing at me for doing the dumb thing of picking against Nick Saban, though.
I'll take it. I'll take the burden of being laughed at on this podcast, Andy. Somebody has to be laughed at.
Yeah, because I've never been laughed at on this podcast.
I know. Like you bet on Pitt again, and everybody was laughing at you. You would think that would be calloused by now. Like you'd be fine.
It's still pretty raw from the SEC championship game. That was shocking how badly they beat Georgia. And so I wrote about that this week. I said, I went back and looked at the video of that game, every Alabama offensive snap versus the Georgia defense, and then all the games that Alabama had trouble, and then all the games that Georgia had played defensively and what they were doing. And the best theory I can come up with is Georgia said, all of this stuff that worked all season and worked brilliantly, we're just going to try that because we're playing with house money. And if it doesn't work, let's not show them anything just in case we got to see them again. That's the only theory I can come up with because they elected not to do any of the things that bothered Alabama's offense all year when they clearly have the talent to do it.
My dream scenario, and I said this on a podcast with you in September. I don't know if it was September. It was definitely in the middle of the year. Was Georgia and Alabama facing off in the national championship game. Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels being a storyline heading into that game. Stetson Bennett getting the start. Stetson Bennett not playing very well in the first half. Kirby Smart putting in JT Daniels into the game, and then JT Daniels torching Alabama's defense in the second half to lead them to the national championship. Like, would that not be the most amazing outcome in the history of outcomes? Like, because like obviously
it would complete the circle.
Life is a circle. Life is a circle. And I don't know, like JT Daniels isn't Tua, but like poetic justice, right? Well, like that would be cool.
He had the same recruiting hype as Tua.
Oh yeah. They got the stars.
So they matter clearly. Unless Stetson leads Georgia to a national title. So here's the thing.
That's the thing that scares me, not to interrupt you. But if we go back in time and do the last 5 national champion quarterbacks, I think they're all NFL starters, if I'm not mistaken.
You go back to Jake Coker. Jake Coker is the last one who's not.
And that was 16?
That was 15. That
15?
was 2015 Alabama. Derrick Henry, OJ Howard, Kenyon Drake, pretty awesome team. Calvin Ridley. I'm
just trying to remember. I think the last 5 national championship winning quarterbacks are NFL starters now.
Well, it's Deshaun Watson. It's Tua. It's Trevor Lawrence. It's Joe Burrow. And it's Mac Jones. So yes.
Yeah, and the one person who got benched.
I mean, Deshaun isn't now, but he was.
Yeah. I mean, he's of the caliber
passing.
Of it. Yes.
Yeah.
And the one that got benched at halftime of the Alabama game
is also Georgia, a starting quarterback
an NFL starter. So I don't know. That's the one thing that scares me. I don't know if a former walk-on can do it. And I know that Baker Mayfield did it.
And Bryce Young is an NFL starting quarterback.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
So, and obviously, have we seen Georgia win a game this year that wasn't just completely demoralizing the opposing offense to the point where it's pointless? Like, has Georgia ever had to win a game where they are going score to score? They haven't played that game and they haven't won that game. And I'm really talking myself out of it again. Like, I think Alabama's the play here.
All right, let me give you a tip to make you feel better.
Please.
If you see, all right, let's say Alabama gets the opening kickoff. They line up for their first play. If you see Georgia put 6 guys on the line of scrimmage in the box, whether they're going to rush, they're probably not bringing 6. They're probably only bringing 4. But they're not letting Bryce Young know who's coming. Basically, they're trying to confuse him and the offensive line as to who's coming. If you see them do that, you should feel pretty good, because that is what LSU did. It's what Texas A&M did. It's what Auburn did. And it bothered the hell out of Alabama's offensive line, and it bothered the hell out of Bryce Young. Georgia did not do that at all in the first meeting. At all. But if they do that, and it's, look, every defense has packages like that. It's not like they are doing something that their players have never done or are incapable of doing. It's something their players are very capable of doing. It will bother them, and Alabama will not score the way they did in that game. Now, here's the thing. That doesn't mean Georgia's going to outscore Alabama in the game, because that will depend on how well Georgia's offense and Alabama's defense play. And the first time around, it wasn't that great for Georgia.
How many points does Georgia have to win for you? If I gave them to you right now before the game, how many do they have to score to win the game in your mind? 31?
No, here's the thing. I think they can score 25 and win, because the only way they win is if they hold Alabama's offense down. And this is a problem. And this is
because they're incapable of scoring at that level.
Why I'm picking Nick Saban again. Nick Saban can beat you however you want to play him. Kirby Smart has yet to figure out how to do that. The moment Kirby Smart figures that out, he will win a national championship. And maybe that's Monday night. But he has yet to do that.
I think that what you could say here is that Alabama has won in every possible way this year, and Georgia's only won in one way.
And over the years, in games like this, they've won in every possible way.
I mean, Alabama beat Cincinnati the way that Georgia beats teams, right? Sucking the life out of the offense, opposing offense.
They beat Ole Miss like that.
They beat Ole Miss 42-21, one of the better wins.
The 21 points was garbage time, though. They sucked their souls out. But they beat LSU and Auburn in 2 of the ugliest games you've ever seen. The Florida game, they started out strong and then nearly choked it away at the end. So they have been through Texas A&M. Texas A&M leads for most of the game. Alabama storms back, takes the lead, and then A&M goes down the field and wins the game. So they've lost a heartbreaker, and they have won in every conceivable way. And Nick Saban has coached every conceivable kind of win in a national championship.
And you can go into the game, and if you say the final score is 52-51, the winner of that game would be Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah.
If you go and say it's 25-26, you could say that Alabama could win that game. Georgia could win that game, but Alabama could win that game. Alabama could also win 49-20. There are, in any possible way that you could come up with, I feel like you would want to see Alabama. But the one thing I know that won't happen is Georgia's not going to win 49-44.
Yeah. And if they do, I'm happy to admit we're wrong.
Yeah.
And Georgia fans, if they do, congratulations, because this was the first of a few. They're going to keep coming, because it means that Kirby's evolved, and what he's been saying, the seeds he's been planning offensively with Todd Monken and the kind of players they've been recruiting, that it does. And then here's the thing. Georgia's receiving core is going to be the healthiest it's been all season. Still not, you don't get 100% George Pickens. It's still not perfect.
Did you see that play with Dax, though?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. George Pickens is a freak. I mean, if he's reasonably healthy, he's dangerous. Brock Bowers, I know he's dealing with an injury, but he seems like a gamer. Like, he seems always ready to play. I loved the way they used James Cook in the Michigan game. I think that's they need to use the backs in different way. They use Kenny McIntosh a little bit different way too. So I think Georgia will play better against Alabama this game. I'm just not sure it's going to be enough to win.
The over under of the game is 52. And I think that means that Vegas is expecting a 27-24, 28-24 type game. Yeah, so I think that bodes well. I mean, I feel like that's the only over under it could be if you're going to favor Georgia. You couldn't make Georgia the favorite and then make it 77. You know what I mean? Like, it's
right.
So I mean,
it's unrealistic to think that Georgia will just completely annihilate Alabama's offense. Like, they're going to score some points.
Okay.
Even if Georgia has a great day defensively, Alabama's going to score some points.
I know that you like having me on the show because I like to say what I feel, and sometimes people think it's hot takes, but I truly believe it.
100%.
I got a few things for you. Okay. If Kirby Smart wins on Monday, is he automatically, without question, no debate, the second best college coach in America?
I mean, in terms of a threat to play for and win national titles.
Who would you hire if you couldn't get Nick Saban, but you can get anybody else to lead your program?
I think you get Kirby.
Would you put Kirby on the West Coast? Do you think that translates?
Yes. You put Kirby anywhere, he translates.
Okay.
Because he knows what a good player looks like. And he knows how to go get him.
I agree with you. Kirby Smart, to me, I think he would hop Dabo.
Yeah, but only because Dabo does not seem to be adjusting as well to the new environment, to the new world.
And what's the number one sin of a coach? Not being able to adjust and adapt.
Well, yeah, I mean, Nick Saban has exposed every coach who wouldn't, basically.
Because he's been so good at doing it.
Right, because he's better than all of them at it. And so, no, if Dabo pulls some dudes out of the transfer portal and suddenly they're in the playoff again, then Dabo is right back up there. But
Clemson offered some guy in a transfer portal this week, and it was like huge news to the Clemson people.
It is. I mean, we knew it was coming. Grace Rayner, who does a great job covering Clemson for us, has been telling us all year it's coming. They're going to take transfers, but it is shocking when you finally see it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Kirby would be.
Do you want to hear the second half of the hot take?
Yeah, let's see it.
So you have Nick Saban, who is the undeniable GOAT of coaching in the college realm, right?
Right.
Then you have the second tier. The second tier of Dabo Swinney, Ryan Day, Lincoln Riley, and all those guys. I feel like they're all kind of similar. Like, I don't know, maybe Dabo would be third, right? Because he's won 2 championships, and you can't take recency bias and extrapolate it into him not earning that route or that key. But who is going to take over the game of college football from a coaching standpoint when Nick Saban decides he doesn't want to win a championship every year? Because, like, I don't know if there's an undeniable answer outside of Kirby Smart right now of just like which coach is going to rule the world when the king leaves,
Well, and that's the thing. I wrote this when Kirby got the Georgia job. If he's the guy, he's the one that can rule college football for the next decade after Nick Saban retires. Because that job allows that.
But is there any other coach in the second tier that what you would think gives him his run for his money? Or is it like undeniably obvious now because of the way he recruits?
Oh, no, I think Ryan Day could. Ryan
You don't
Day
have any questions about Ryan Day right now?
No. Because he lost a regular season game? Because he lost his first regular season game as a head coach? Or, you mean, do I think he's going to go to the Bears?
No, I think, do you question his spot? Bruce Feldman and Stu Mandel every year do the top 25 coaching rankings, right? And I know that's a super controversial story because it's almost impossible to do it adequately. But if I were doing that story, I would move Ryan Day down spots after this year.
He lost 1 regular season game, Ari.
Those 2.
That's right. That's right. He lost
the
Oregon game and the Michigan game. Okay. So he's lost 1 Big Ten regular season game.
1 Big Ten regular season game to Michigan, which is like losing 3 Big Ten games.
Yeah, I'm not
defensive staff
him a spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They could go and
because here's the thing: if I'm going to give Kirby a pass for some of the things that have happened, and I have, like with the 2018 SEC
But you
championship
redo it every
game,
year, Andy. You redo it with the newest information every year.
Yeah, but I mean, Kirby as a young head coach made some mistakes. So Ryan Day is allotted a few mistakes as a young head coach. Like the way they handled the defensive staff this year was not perfect. It was not ideal.
Not perfect is nice. It was a disaster.
Ari, they were 11-2. I'm not going to kill them for being 11-2.
I know, but like Ryan Day was an unquestionable top 5 coach in college football before the year started. I don't know if that's true anymore. In a world where we have to continually take into account what they did in the most recent season, it wasn't a good season. And in year 3, that's supposed to be when you're ascending, and they were very, very much short of the mark this year. So, and I'm not saying he doesn't belong in that second tier, but I'm like looking at the college coaching ranks, and I see Nick Saban and I see everybody else. And I know that was true coming into the year, but maybe coming into the year, I might've been like, you know what? Ryan Day might be number 2, or somebody else might be number 2. Lincoln Riley might be number 2. Right. And you have a bunch of guys who have won at a pretty high clip, but haven't been great, like truly elite great. And I think Kirby Smart has a chance to do that this year if he's able to beat Alabama this year. And by the way, if this Georgia team, the way that it's equipped from a talent standpoint right now, can't compete with Alabama and gets their doors blown off for a second time, it's just like you can't beat this Alabama team. Like, this is the type of window that you're supposed to win it all. Remember we were talking about before the year? Yeah. Georgia has the best half.
This is the one where the Georgia fans completely turn on Kirby if he doesn't win it. And look, nothing's going to happen.
Which is insane. Nothing's going to happen. Yeah, right.
Perfectly happy with Kirby. He's getting them there. And if you keep getting them there, you're going to break through eventually. But this is if they don't win this one, this is when the fan base is going to go, come on, you got to beat these guys at least once.
Yeah. And it would really sting to lose twice in a row. But like, I am super high on Kirby. And obviously people will know why, because I think he's a genius when it comes to acquiring talent. But like, if I was ranking my top 5 coaches in America, Jimbo might be in my top 5 now after what they just did. And I know we're supposed to get into props, and I always like veer you off the tracks and like we start talking about something else.
I think that's fine. I mean, if you want to, we can rank your top 5 coaches right now. I think Jimbo in the top 5 is a reasonable thing because of the way they've recruited, because they had that season that looked like proof of concept in 2020. Now they took a step back on the field. They still have to prove that they can develop the quarterback. I mean, he's done that. He had a bunch of first round quarterbacks in a row: Jamarcus Russell, Christian Ponder, EJ Manuel, Jameis Winston. But it's been a while. So
yeah,
once he has another one of those with the talent he has at Texas A&M, it's a pretty scary bunch.
Okay, so do you want to do it real quick, and then will you do it too with me?
Sure, let's do it.
You want to do a random ranking or in random ranking order where we go?
Not very random, but yes, we will rank them.
We'll just do but like, do you want to go 1 for 1, or do you want me to give you all 5?
Well, since neither of us actually came in prep for this, you go and then I'll go, and I'm going to try to formulate my list on the fly. The good thing is we already know who number 1 is, so we don't have to talk much about that or argue about that. We know who number 1
is Nick Saban. I think number 2 is Kirby Smart. Number 3, I would take Dabo Swinney.
Okay.
Number 4.
Not disagreeing with you yet.
Not disagreeing with me yet, huh? Number 4, I'd probably take Ryan Day. And then number 5, if I was making a hire right now, it would be Lincoln Riley. But I might
it wouldn't be Jimbo.
I might consider putting Jimbo in there. The problem with Jimbo is that he hasn't had very good on the field results yet, and like Lincoln Riley, who I think is going to recruit his ass off.
Jimbo has. Jimbo has won a national title.
Yeah, I know, but the national championship of the old era of the old
Ari,
system,
that Florida State team would have won the playoff too.
No, I know. It's like a "what have you done for me lately" business. And what year was that? 12?
2013.
13. Lincoln Riley, to me, like the way I approached it, and let me just explain it before you do it, is if I got to pick who I wanted to start my program around from scratch, I think I might rather have Lincoln Riley because he's more of a sexy face to a program. And Jimbo Fisher is doing what he's doing in an incredible
So you're
clip.
taking Lincoln Riley because he's hotter than Jimbo Fisher. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, physically.
Thank God Cliff Kingsbury left college. Watch out, Nick Saban.
No, I also think that USC is more built for sustained success right now just because their path is easier than A&M. And I need to see A&M recruit this class more than once in order to be 100% on board. And, they lose 4 games too much for me to go all in, I think. But I think you also could make the case, if we were doing this ranking, that I would move Lincoln Riley and Jimbo up and maybe put Ryan Day in the 6th spot. Like if we really wanted to get into the weeds a little bit from the way that things have gone this year. But if Texas A&M had a better on the field season this year, that's undoubtedly what I would do. But I still think that Ryan Day deserves a spot in the top 4.
I think that's fine. And again, I was defending Ryan Day just now.
Yeah.
Because
I might have taken Ryan Day too in September, though.
We talked about this a little while ago. Like Ryan Day did not, when Ryan Day took the job at Ohio State, the offensive coordinator job to work for Urban Meyer, the idea of being the head coach at Ohio State probably never even crossed his mind. And yet here he is. So this is a guy who's been thrust into this role, and I think he's done really well with it.
Here's my problem with Ryan Day, and my problem to a kind of the same extent with Lincoln Riley, and maybe not so much with Jimbo, is that when you want to hire coaches to build your program around from scratch, you want to go get guys who have built a program. Nick Saban goes without saying. Dabo Swinney, I think you could make the case, has done the most impressive job of any active coach in America building a program and evolving it into, something that is truly elite. Jimbo Fisher has built Texas A&M to what it is to, sign maybe the best class of all time. And, Lincoln Riley and Ryan Day are guys who took over elite level coaching positions from legendary head coaches who had the car built. And I think Lincoln Riley, you could probably make the case that Lincoln Riley enhanced Oklahoma a little bit more than Ryan Day enhanced Ohio State.
Well, Lincoln Riley absolutely made Oklahoma better. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
Now, did he bring it all the way? Because Bob Stoops took over a talented Oklahoma program. Remember, John Blake could recruit but didn't coach particularly well, and then took it all the way in year 2. Lincoln Riley never got it all the way. So I think that's the knock against him, but he'll get his chance at USC. He'll have every opportunity at USC to do that.
Yeah. Okay. I want to hear yours.
I don't think mine would be any different than yours. I think I'd have Jimbo at number 5 ahead of Lincoln because he's built the kind of roster that he needs to win in the SEC, which if you can win the SEC, you can win the national title. Lincoln hasn't done that yet.
I think Lincoln will be able to do it, but I understand wanting to see it first. I think USC certainly has everything in place to sign 10 top 100 players next year in the 23 class. I think they already have 3 or 4 committed in 23. They're off to a good start. So,
okay. And who knows? They might get a transfer who's pretty good.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams. You saw the theory. I think message board geniuses posted this from somebody on a USC message board that said, all these transfer quarterbacks are going to where their girlfriends go to school.
I saw that.
Adrian Martinez did it. Keaton Slovis did it. And then somebody pointed out that Caleb Williams' girlfriend goes to North Carolina.
I know. And I saw all the investigations into the poor girl's social media to see how many most recent times.
Yeah.
She posted.
I feel bad for her. She's she's getting so much traffic on her Instagram feed. She's like, what's going on here? Why aren't these people bothering me about this?
Where would you go if you were Caleb Williams?
I go to Georgia.
If Georgia has a spot, I think it's unquestionably.
And I'd announce on Tuesday. I wouldn't announce before Monday.
Yeah, I think it's unquestionably Georgia, but I also think that here's the thing: every single program that you would consider has guys in it already, or guys coming in.
Yes.
So
yeah, you just have to expect
no
that.
matter who he picks, he's going to have to. The coach of the team that he picks is going to have to understand that there's going to be some really young talent that's going to get kind of thrown to the wayside. I mean, Clemson's got Cade Klubnik coming in, A&M has Connor Wegman coming in, LSU's got Garrett Nussmeier.
Okay, well, all right. So, hey,
USC.
Here's one, and I don't think this is the case. It
But
doesn't
Georgia,
sound like this
let
is
me
the
finish
case.
real quick though, because Georgia has Brock Vandegrift and Gunnar Stockton either on the
That's
roster
true.
or coming in, and
Also, two
USC
tremendous quarterback names.
Yes, and Jackson Dart, which is the best quarterback name out of all of them, is at USC. So if these are the 5 schools that we're trying to come up with as like natural landing spots, they all have really good young quarterbacks either on the roster or coming in. And the thing that I thought was funny is, did you see the Eastern Michigan thing?
I did. $1 million.
I'd do it. I'd go play there for a year. Take $1 million.
Except Caleb Williams could probably make more somewhere else. That's the only drawback.
I don't know. If somebody's going to reach into their
Landing.
bag and write you a check for $1 million, that's a little bit different than hustling to try to figure out what NIL deals are the best.
Well, that's an NIL deal too.
I know, but like if somebody's just
listen, if somebody's doing that for Eastern Michigan, what do you think they're doing for USC or for Georgia or for any of these other schools we're talking about?
I think you can make the case that Eastern Michigan would need it more.
Well, of course they would. They need everything.
No, I'm saying like if you were a booster for Eastern
Chris
Michigan,
Creighton has done a really good job there because that place was a graveyard.
Yeah, I would just go I'd take the mill.
How did we get from the national title game to Ypsilanti, Michigan? How did we do this, Ari?
You wanted me on, man. This is your mess up. Okay, let's go to the over-unders.
It is time for prop bets. We are going to have some props. This is they do this for the Super Bowl. Like they tell you, okay, length of the national anthem. You can bet on that. You can bet on who wins the coin toss, who scores the first touchdown. I don't know how much action they're going to take on some of the college stuff, but I hope some offshore book picks this stuff up. Ari, I looked at the national anthem singer. She's not somebody I recognize. Her last name is Grant. She's a gospel singer. Last name Grant. Not related to Amy Grant, though. No relation. But I don't know if she, is a, kind of does a lot of runs, or if there's a chance that she could go into Marvin Gaye length territory for the national anthem. So we're not going to do that. We're going to
want to hear fun.
We're going to do some more fun props. What's that?
You know how we're verified on social media because we're sports writers?
Correct.
Well, I'm also verified on Instagram for some reason. And I think that when you're verified, other verified people get notified when you message them. Whereas if you're famous and 1 million people that aren't verified message you, you don't see it. But if another verified person messages you, it notifies your phone. Anyway,
I don't get verified on Instagram. I gotta figure this out.
I did this it was like years ago, back at my old job. Back when I was single and I thought it would impress ladies. I think Lady Gaga was the performer who was singing the national anthem for the Super Bowl a few years ago. And I messaged her on Instagram and I was like, hey, Lady Gaga, can you let me know how long you plan to sing for the national anthem? And she actually saw the message.
Wow. Lady Gaga read your message.
And I wonder if she laughed at it, because I thought to myself, like, if she knew, like, do you think a performer actually knows how long they're going to go?
Yes, because they do rehearse it. Like, and a lot of time, because like the Whitney Houston at Tampa Stadium for the Super Bowl between the Giants and the Bills one that's so famous, she recorded it the day before and then lip synced it before the game. It was a live performance that she lip synced, if that makes sense. So I mean, that was in the can. So somebody knew exactly how long it was.
Did you talk about like the Chicago Black Sox of national anthem rigging?
It could be done.
If she would have responded, I would have bet anything.
Yeah. Huh. That would have been amazing. And she could have been just messing with you.
That
She'd
would
have
be
been
scary.
like, Ari,
Yeah.
my national anthem is going to go 5 minutes. And you would have been like, over.
Okay, Andy, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Oh, please. Interrupt away. All right, we're going to start off with one from our very own Stuart Mandel. This one's tough. I think he picked a good number here. Mentions of 1980. Over under 17.
What's the real over under? 17?
17.
Under.
Under? Listen, Ari, if they get close, because this also counts if they
every single time they utter the phrase 1980.
If they go to a poster in the crowd that mentions 1980, that counts too. So
okay. I still think I'm going to go under.
But if poster might be making fun of Georgia as well.
Yeah, but if you're blown out, they also might bring it up a lot too.
Ooh. I think this is a pretty good number.
I think that you automatically get one in the pregame show. Like
you get at least one and probably 2 or 3.
17's a lot. I'm gonna take. Are you keeping track of these? Because I want to actually follow them as we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going under.
We're keeping track of them, and we're actually going to do a written story with all of these in there. So yes, we will keep track of them during the game if we can. We'll see. I mean, some of our more dedicated listeners may wind up keeping track of them during the game. That's what we need, the listeners who will do that. When we say something incredibly stupid on the air, that they will do the math for us. Because if you've been listening to the show long enough, none of us can do math anyway. You know that. So do you really want us counting something that might make or cost you money? I'd say no. I'd say let the smarter listeners handle that. All right. Most of these are very Georgia-based, I have to admit, but that's okay. Bruce,
you didn't give me an answer.
Bruce Feldman.
Did you go over under 17?
I go over.
Oh, okay.
Bruce Feldman. Camera cuts to JT Daniels. Over under 3. Hammer the over.
Yeah.
Hammer the over.
You could hit the over with one timeout.
One drive. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that number's way too low.
Yes.
Yeah, over.
Hammer the over.
Okay, that's a good one.
All right, here's one. We got a money line here. Nick Saban smiles plus 1,000. Nick Saban has smiled exactly once during all of the national title games that he's coached. And that's a lot.
You're talking about a man who got mad that he missed out on a week of recruiting because he had to play in the championship game.
The one time he smiled, was when he popped that onside kick against Clemson in the national title game in Glendale after the 2015 season. That's it, once.
I think
so if he smiles, something amazing just happened.
I think that I will take money line yes, because that's good value.
It's great value.
I'll take 10-1 on that.
Throw $20 on that.
Yeah, because he actually has seemed a little bit more. I don't know what the word is, but a little bit more
he's
playful
chill.
this year.
He's been chill.
Yeah, I think that's a good number, 10-1.
Yeah, that's by the way, Sam Kahn, our techspert with that one. I did love that one. Here's a good one. This is Scott Docterman, our Iowa beat writer. St. Elmo's Steakhouse conversational mentions over under 1.5. This is tricky because if you get a boring game, the over will hit easily. But if you get a barn burner, somebody might mention shrimp cocktail once, but it ain't coming. They're not coming back.
I'm going under.
I'm going over. I am going over.
So let me ask you this. If the announcers are talking about it and they both mention it, it's like one.
That's one mention.
That's
right.
one mention.
Separate,
okay. Yeah. Under.
Yeah. As Scott said, separate conversational mentions. So it has to be in the context of separate conversations.
Okay. Under.
One. Yeah. Yeah.
You went over?
So I am going to go over on this one. I think they'll figure it out. All right, here from our Florida beat writer, Alan Taylor. Mispronunciations of toe. 1.5 over under.
If you think it's going to hit 1, then it'll hit 2.
I'm going to go under because this is Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit. This is the A crew. These guys have done their homework.
Yeah.
They will pronounce Henry To'oTo'o's name perfectly.
You're probably right.
All right, this one's one of mine. Matt Corral will guest star in the video that Katy Perry is dropping at halftime, plus 900. She's expressed her affection. She also liked Trevor Knight, though. He never made it in a video.
I'm going to say no on this one.
All right.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Listen, so they're not doing the live performance. The Imagine Dragons performance was so widely panned that this was in 2000. This was the game, the LSU Clemson game, I believe. And that Imagine Dragons performance got destroyed. So I think they decided they didn't want to do it again. Oh, no. Sorry, LSU and Clemson, they had the bands perform because Imagine Dragons had been so heavily pilloried. All right, let's see what else we got. I'll have to figure out who said this to give it proper credit, but mentions that Stetson Bennett mimicked Baker Mayfield in the Rose Bowl over under 1.5.
Under.
Really? You think that only gets mentioned once, if at all?
If at all.
See, I think they're going to get that. And then Seth Emerson also, I'll throw in this one. I don't have the banner for it, but Stetson Bennett flip phone mentions over under 3.5. I think that's going to go under.
Yeah, that's under. I had over under minutes discussing Tua's entry into the national championship game the last 2 times they played. And my minutes were, what's that?
Over
under minutes spent discussing that.
Okay. How many minutes?
And I said 5, but I think that's high. I'm going to say 3.
3 minutes of television time, of television talking time is a lot of
discussing the scenario and like reminiscing about it, but also
theorizing
during
about a game.
During a game.
I might go under that. But mentions of Tua, like if you go to mentions of Tua entering the game at halftime. See, here's the thing. Let's say any quarterback gets hurt and has to be subbed for.
They'll go, that's what you're betting on.
They'll go off the charts.
Yes. Or if Stetson Bennett has a truly awful game in the first half.
Right. And
Georgia really needs a spark. Remember, blah, 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 blah. And the next thing you know,
you're
races. Yeah.
Does the halftime analysis count for that? You know, around the Katy Perry video when Kevin Nagandi and them are talking.
I think it's part of the national championship broadcast.
Okay. All right.
It's like overtime counts for overs.
Bruce Feldman. Times Ari will tweet Stars Matter on Monday night. Over under 11.5.
Over.
I agree. And if we just make the entirety of Monday like midnight to 11:59 p.m. local time, I think it definitely goes over.
But you need to be. I'm not going to tweet the phrase Stars Matter 11.5 times, but if I reference somebody who made a play or I take a screenshot of a recruiting profile or mention a player's ranking, I think that counts.
Oh, I think so too. All right. This one from John Hayes, our executive producer here at the podcast. NFL wildcard Monday night promos over under 25. This is hitting the over, Ari.
Over, yeah.
Because ESPN's never had a playoff game, right? This is their first NFL playoff game that they'll be broadcasting. They will promote the hell out of this. Because it's
anything that comes on the screen, right?
Yes, it's like if they put a card up, if they put if it runs across the bottom line, does that count? Because they're going to have that on the bottom line. a few times.
I don't know if the bottom line counts.
Okay, because they're trying to train people that this is going to
be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So they've got to
every time they come in and out of a commercial break, they're going to have something, I think.
I would agree. Or not every time, but almost every, or it will be a kind of a placeholder ad, or like they call them house ads.
Yeah, or
if they need like a 10-second stinger in between the
somebody's
ads
down
and
for a minute and an unexpected timeout. Yeah, totally.
Yep. All right, Jason Starrett, or no, so this is Doctorman again. This is Scott Doctorman. Times 2nd and 26 gets mentioned. Over under 26.
Under, but I wonder if the actual over under of that would be 3.5. I would probably take the over.
I would absolutely take the over on 3.5.
26 is a lot.
But you don't have to say much, like, because you can throw that in there. Because if you say Tua to Devontae Smith, if you say game-winning touchdown, heartbroken coverage, but think of all the different scenarios.
Okay, yeah, okay, I get you.
If there's a coverage bust, they're going to mention 2nd.
26 is going to be an under for me, though.
All right. I realize Scott probably is joking there, but here's another good Alan Taylor one. Will Anderson, Derek Thomas comparisons, over under 2.5.
Over.
I think that's going over too.
Yeah. I mean, these are funny.
Because Alabama's had some Alabama's not really been known in the Saban era for its pass rushers. But Derek Thomas, obviously former Alabama player, one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. And then Will Anderson just put together one of the greatest pass rushing seasons of all time.
I don't think we have a banner for this one because I just made it up, Andy. But how many times do you think they'll mention Bryce Young's Heisman?
Oh, 20 at least. I don't have a banner for this one either, but number of times the camera catches Kirby Smart dropping a lip-readable F-bomb. Over under 9.
Under.
I think you could get a good tirade and get halfway home.
Yeah. All it would take is one bad call.
If there's a busted coverage in the first quarter, you may be halfway there. That's the only issue there.
Yeah, that's funny. These are all really funny.
These are great. I would, if I had a sports book, I'd take action on these. Unfortunately, that probably wouldn't be allowed to do my job if I did also own a sports book. So, Ari, we've now come to the time when we must say it, and you've said it mostly, but I want you to tell me who will win and what will the final score be.
Georgia 28, Alabama 24. National championship for the first time since 1980. I'm sticking with my pick from the beginning of the year.
Does that count as one 1980 mention for our over-under?
Yes. That's why I said it.
All right. Okay. Alabama 31, Georgia 27. I'm not betting against Nick Saban again. I have sworn I won't. I will keep my promise because one of us keeps his promises.
Yeah, it's clearly you.
Clearly. Obviously. Yeah.
I'm happy that
have faith in it. When I say it, you can take it to the bank, except for when I picked Georgia to win the national title at the beginning of the season.
You should be thankful that there's somebody who's willing to stick their neck out for the
Ari,
sake of this podcast.
Ari, if Georgia wins this game, do you think I'm not going to trot out my preseason prediction over and over again? Be like, see, I was right. Look at that. You can't
do that. So that's called double dipping. You're double dipping.
It's called being a complete hypocrite. I don't care.
I want to be purely right from start to finish. It's really hard to pick the national champion, especially one that plays in the same conference as Alabama.
I appreciate your integrity, Ari. I appreciate that you will not deviate, even though we were made fools of on the day of the SEC championship game.
You know what? If Nick Saban makes a fool of me again, then I'm fine if Nick Saban makes a fool of me.
He makes a fool of everyone.
Because it's very easy to say, I'm an idiot, Saban's God.
Listen. He makes fools of us all. It's a universal truth of college football. Enjoy the game, everybody. Talk to you afterward.